Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to the Rah Rah Rabbit. So today I thought I would talk a little bit more about voice/alter interactions in dreams. It's been a while since I've made a video like this and I thought it would be a good idea to update you all. But before I start on the video, I just wanted to say that I've been making quite a few changes to the way that I do things and things that I want to focus on. I've recently done up my website and it's now pretty much just a hub for all the things that I do. So I'd really appreciate if people could go and check that out and maybe sign up to the newsletter. As well as that, I've kind of made changes to my Patreon as well. Beforehand, I wasn't really sticking to what I'd originally planned. And before I was giving like shout outs, but to be honest, I was kind of behind on that. And I also thought as well that, you know, instead of just putting someone's name at the end of a video or on an Instagram post or whatever, I do something a little bit different to show my appreciation for people who want to support me. So my $2 plus Patreons now get something like this. It will be a piece of artwork at the end of each month that has their names incorporated into it. So if you like that idea, feel free to go and check out my Patreon page and perhaps follow me on there. So with that being said, let's get on with the video. So for those who haven't been on this channel before, one of the primary things that I focus on is lucid dreaming, particularly when it comes to complex mental health issues. I have a working diagnosis of DID, or dissociative identity disorder. In the past I've had various different diagnoses and people trying to figure out what's going on with me. For a long time it was believed I was experiencing some kind of psychotic disorder. I do sometimes have symptoms that are quite similar to psychosis, but it's been a journey that's been very difficult for me. It's one that I've primarily had to figure out for myself, and basically I've always called them voices because that's how I've experienced them for the most part, but they are potentially alters or, you know, alternative personalities, things to do with DID. And what I have been doing for a while now is using lucid dreaming as a way to try and understand what they are, what they represent, why they are there, and so on. One of the voices/alters that I did this with was one called Darren, who has always been a very aggressive and very threatening alter, and he's been with me for a good 15 years now, and I spent a lot of time with lucid dreams, you know, getting lucid and trying to find him and trying to talk to him, because it's quite difficult to do that in waking life because he's very defensive. But in the dream state it was a lot easier to get closer to him. I mean, I guess maybe it's because I am dealing directly with the subconscious mind to things that I don't have access to when I am awake, so a lot of the answers that I got for him made a lot of sense, and I was able to analyse that and have a real critical look at that during the day to see if it added up, if it made sense. And a lot of the stuff does, and it's kind of helped me to work closer with these voices, alters, to have a better understanding of what is going on and how we can all kind of work together. So that's me trying to sum that up as best I can and as quick as I can for people who haven't seen this stuff before. But today I'm not talking about lucid dreams, I'm just talking about regular dreams and some that I've had recently that have involved certain voices. So I made a video a few months ago about recurring dreams, and I will put that up there, whichever side we're on. And in that video I spoke about a dream that I have pretty much every night, at least once a night, which I wouldn't say is the same dream, but it follows the same sort of themes and the same narratives. The same sort of things are likely to pop up. And it was a couple of nights ago that once again I was having this same sort of dream, and although I can't really remember much about the beginning, it was again this idea of being I was kind of on holiday with my family but also on a school trip at the same time, so I had family around, I had teachers around, a lot of the figures that tend to pop up in my dreams, and usually these dreams are quite depressing or very emotionally charged. I tend to feel very angry and upset from these dreams, because usually, you know, one of the themes is people not understanding me, people belittling me, people putting me down and trivializing all of my pain and my problems. And yes, this is what was happening in that dream. And usually, if I don't get lucid from this dream and it just continues on as normal, I let these figures do these things to me, and I just kind of get progressively more and more depressed and anxious and whatever throughout the dream. But this time around, Dean was there, and now Dean is a voice who is very impulsive, he's quite reckless, he's quite mischievous, he's very playful, and he appeared in this dream. And now sometimes I find that when they appear in dreams, sometimes they appear as separate from me, and sometimes they kind of appear as being part of me, similar to when I'm awake, this feeling of them taking control of my body and my actions and doing things for me. But in this particular dream, Dean was outside of me. He was a figure that I could see, that I could speak to, that I could interact with. And I know at this point in the dream I was feeling really defeated, and like I couldn't get people to understand me. And I believe I was in my old house, and I had some of my family around, I had some of my teachers from high school around, and Dean kind of showed up. And whereas it's kind of my natural instinct to, I guess, not stick up for myself and kind of let people walk all over me a bit, Dean is kind of the opposite of that. And I think I was supposed to be taking like a test or an exam, or I was supposed to be doing something, but instead of doing that, Dean turned up and told me not to bother with that. And even though he didn't tell me that it was a dream, although I didn't click on that it was a dream and become lucid, he made me realise that I didn't have to follow all these rules and do all these things, that nothing bad was going to happen if I didn't comply. And I think we just locked ourselves in the kitchen and started drinking and just put on really loud music, and it was kind of just me and Dean partying on our own with people outside of the room, like knocking on the door, trying to get in, trying to tell us to stop. And it was like a really fun time. It was a really fun dream, and it definitely shook up the narrative that I'm used to with this type of dream. And I do find that when Dean turns up, that is kind of what he does in dreams, is very much just disrupts the narrative, and it's very much just about partying or just letting loose and not really thinking about the consequences and just doing whatever. And it was a really great feeling, it was a really great dream, and I woke up from that feeling pretty good. And I will say that it is usually Dean and Ted that do this. There have been times where, again, if it's a regular dream and not a lucid dream, where I've gone looking for them and I'm interacting with them on a conscious level, if it's just a regular dream, sometimes Darren will be there, but more often than not, it's Ted and Dean. They like to come along and just kind of disrupt things. Now, I will say I'm not sure in this particular instance if the dream version of Dean was simply just a dream version, like it wasn't really him, it was just he was a character in the dream, or if he was really dreaming with me at the same time and that was really him. I know that might be difficult for people who don't have the ID to understand, but I definitely know that in the lucid dreams that I've had with them, they also have the memory of those dreams, which is really interesting. But I don't know if Dean has the memory of that dream, because I don't know if he was there or if he was just a dream character. But either way, I thought that was really interesting, and I want to keep on doing videos like this. I mentioned however many videos ago that I was kind of being cautious with how much I spoke about this, or how I guess open and unfiltered, because I know that Darren was a bit upset that I was coming on here and talking about him and talking about these dreams and kind of using him as a guinea pig and an experiment. I think although he is happy that I'm doing these things, just jumping straight on camera and telling everybody else about it, I think he wasn't particularly comfortable with, without kind of speaking to him first, or giving ourselves enough time to process what we've discovered before putting it out into the world. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope that was an interesting video. If you're somebody else who has DID, or who hears voices, or who has just generally odd experiences, it'll be interesting to hear how dreams work for you, if alters, voices, whatever you consider them to be for you personally, you know, if you have had dreams with them, even lucid dreams, you know, this is definitely something I want to be talking more about. So with that all being said, thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to check out my Patreon page, as mentioned earlier in the video, and to check out my social media accounts, which will be below. I do primarily focus on those, because I do illustrations and artwork and stuff like that. That's the main thing that I do. So if you're interested in seeing all the stuff that I do outside of YouTube, then don't forget to go and check those out. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been Max, aka the Rara Rabbit, and I'll see you in the next video.